I need to let you know, excuse me, that I've spent about 6 months preparing for this, but I didn't know that I would have to speak about myself. Don't go away. Stay. I've been painting since I was very little. I studied in Philadelphia, growing up in Philadelphia, and I had some course study at the University of Pennsylvania and at the museum school there while I was in high school. I studied at the University of Miami for just 1 year, fine arts, and then married and had kids right away and dropped out of life. Went back to school and studied architecture for a couple of years at Miami-Dade. And then I had a career as an architectural artist for about 25, 30 years. And in order to paint the renderings for the architectural work, I needed to learn how to paint watercolor. Although I had studied a little bit earlier on, I did not know it well, and it was a little frightening. I used gouache and I used egg tempera for the renderings, and then I started getting more and more into painting with watercolor. Actually, this part is interesting, more so than the credits. This is an interesting point. So I was starting my career as an architectural artist, and I walked past a window of a gallery near where I lived, and there was this wonderful, yeah, I still love you, yes. I walked past the gallery window, and there was a painting in the window, and I said, oh my, I want to learn how to paint like that. So I walked in and I spoke to the proprietor of the gallery, and she said, well, his name is Millard Wells, and he lives in the Keys, and here's his information if you want to give him a call. So I came home, and I immediately called him. It was a Saturday, and my husband was playing tennis, and I spoke to him on the phone, and he said, I'm starting a workshop tomorrow for the week in Key West, and you're welcome to join us if you want. So my husband came home from tennis, and my bag was packed. And he said, what? And I said, listen, if it's okay with you, this is what I want to do. And 2 little girls, the dog, he said, go, have a good time. That was the start of my career as an artist. Millard was an amazing man. I don't know if anyone here knows his name or ever knew him. Marilyn.
I know his name.
You know his name, yeah.
What is it?
Millard Wells.
Wells?
Wells. He passed about 10 or 12 years ago now, but he was instrumental in developing me as the artist that I am today, because he taught plein air painting. Now, I was going to discuss plein air painting later on during the demo, but I can talk about it now. It's the most important thing that you can do if you want to develop yourself as a landscape painter or any other type of artist. You can paint from photographs very well, but you cannot smell a photograph, and you cannot feel a photograph, and you can't feel the humidity or the dryness in the air. You can't feel the wind blowing, and you can't see it happening if you are looking at a photograph. If you're outside painting on location, you can't get away from it, and you're forced to learn how to paint what you see outside moving. A tree or a bush, sure, a house is pretty still, but then there's water. Water is in constant motion. How do you paint water and make it look like it's moving and reflective? So that's what I'm going to do today. As far as my personal life is concerned, yes, I've been awarded quite a bit with Miami Watercolor Society, and I'm a member of National Watercolor Society, signature member, as well as Miami Watercolor, Palm Beach Watercolor, and then there's a whole bunch. I have a handout, so my credits are listed on that. That's all I'm going to do as far as talking about myself is concerned. Paint outside. So, water has a mind of its own, as does watercolor. So it can be, learning how to paint water can be daunting, it can be intimidating, but it can also be exhilarating. So what I'm going to try to do today is bring it back down to kind of a common denominator, something that can be used. There are so many venues of water. You know, you've got your calm lake, your trickling stream, a raging waterfall, reflections in wet sand or on the street. I mean, there are so many subjects, but there are certain things that you can know about painting water that will hold true for all of these subjects. My notes. Each subject of water has kind of its own personality. The content, the color, the depth, the movement, the reflection, but most important, emotional quality. That's what I was referring to when I was talking about painting outside on location. You feel it, and there's an emotional quality to your painting if you're doing it on site rather than from a photograph. And I have another funny story, my notes. So I'm painting with Millard Wells, and we're down in Key West, and we're on the dock. Now this is way before the cruise ships started to come in, so it was really still a very nice town, and we could paint wherever we wanted. We even went to the cemetery to paint. It was quite an experience, and always an adventure. And I'm sitting on the dock, and I'm painting this old, probably from 1850, red brick warehouse, the wall. And you know how when you're painting, sometimes you kind of get into a meditative state. You don't really know exactly what's going on around you, but I feel this person standing and watching me. That's okay, that happens a lot when you're painting outside. And minutes go by, half an hour goes by, 45, I'd better turn around and see who this is. So I turned around, and there was this giant pelican. So, and everybody had a good laugh at it. Nobody wanted to disturb the scene, so nobody shooed him away or anything. They were just all watching. So it's always an adventure painting outside. When the cat comes by and bothers you, and you have to take the water bottle and squirt him in the face to get him. The bugs. Keep the bugs away. Today I'm going to talk about painting underwater, what you see under the water, the pebbles, the rocks, in shallow water. And I'm going to be talking about painting froth on the ocean waves, and I'll be talking about painting reflections in wet sand. And I better get to it. I always start, this happens to be 300 pound. I work with 140 as well, but the 300 pound weight rough right now is good because I don't have to tape it down or staple it, so it works for the demo. And I'm using this very large brush, and I'm using this diaper that is from Millard Wells' days. This is from 1973 when I first started painting with him, and he said the best rag to use is a diaper. Now there weren't any diapers because they had already changed over to the plastic disposable things. So I had a tough time finding, but I still use it. And I made small batches in a bottle of my color triad. I always start with the color triad on all of my paintings, whether I'm spraying, painting with a brush, whatever the process is, I always start with the triad colors, yellow, red, blue. And in this case, the yellow is a combination of yellow ochre, aureolin, a little bit of cad, medium. The red is a combination of alizarin crimson and some imperial purple, a little bit. And the blue is cobalt and cerulean blue mixed. So first I'm going to, and this is painting that I did a number of years ago, and this is what I'm going to be working from. I couldn't find a photograph from way back then. The photograph was taken in Jackson, Wyoming. This is Jenny Lake, if anybody has ever been there. Yeah, you remember? Were those logs there when you were there? And it did start as a plein air painting, small, and then I did a very large one in the studio. So I'm going to take my spray bottle here. I did do masking fluid first. Move this to the side a little bit. Masking fluid in certain areas, which you probably cannot see very clearly, but after I get the first glaze on, you'll be able to see it much more clearly. And when I put the triad on, I'm going to pay attention to where I want it to stay lighter and where I want it to go into the darker tones. And I think that should be enough. Okay. Now, what is that? Where did that come from? And I'm going to try to keep this log white. And there are certain areas that I know I'm going to want to keep white. I have to add a lot more water to this because there are areas here that are more yellow. So as I come in with the rest, all of this stuff on my paper, what is all this stuff? Okay. And these rocks are going to stay white. And there's some rocks here that have to stay white, so I'll go around them. And I'm going to keep this, I do have some masking there, so that's protected. I'm going to come down here and go right through these rocks. And I'm going to keep it lighter in this area. As you can see, I want the most light area I would like to have here. The dark here wrapping around, this should actually be darker, and wrapping back.
You can't see that picture.
They can't see that picture.
You can see parts of it.
Parts of it.
It's fine.
It's fine? Okay.
See it? Got it?
Yeah, thank you. And keeping those logs light. And there will be some water there. And then coming down here, it's going to end up being much darker, but you'll find out that the negative space around the pebbles and rocks are going to be yellow. They're going to be that shining color that I'd like to keep going. So I'm going to keep it stronger there. And it can even go under here to the dock and to the shadow area, and then we're going to keep this area more light. And I think that what I'll do is close this up so that I don't spill it. Next, I'll work on the reds.
What was the mix of colors you used for the red?
Alizarin crimson and imperial purple. And I'm going to avoid using it where I know I want more yellow. Where it gets dark, that doesn't make any difference. I can go as deep as I'd like. that's a little bit too deep.
What would you say your ratio is approximately for the amount of paint in your little cups to water? Do you add more paint than water, or?
Are you talking about what I have in the jar?
Yes, your little
Okay.
jars.
I put in maybe 2 toothpaste from the tube.
Of the paint,
Yeah.
okay.
And then, so you see, it's about halfway filled with water. But when you do that, what you have to do is you put in just a few drops of water, and then mix it up. Because if you put a lot of water in, then it will take forever for it to mix up properly. You have to get it started slowly, kind of like in the kitchen.
Yeah,
When you're
gravy.
and gravy, there you go, you got it. Mhm.
Okay.
For concrete, they're used to mixing concrete.
There you go.
Thank you. It's a great analogy, it's much better than gravy. Okay, and I do want some of this warmth to come in down here as well, but not a whole lot of it.
Do you always paint from the jars?
No,
Okay,
no, this saved me time
okay.
because I knew that I had limited time to do the demo. And to
Okay.
mix it all on my palette here, it would,
But with your own paintings, you usually do it just from the palette?
unless I am pouring. If I'm doing a pouring painting, then it's from jars.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to be put away. I can go down here a little bit. Actually, I can go a little bit here. And I might do this more often. It's a good trick, and these jars are wonderful. These jars are for airbrush. If you go on Amazon and you look up airbrush painting, these jars are available, and it works great. They're pretty airtight, except for the yellow paint that leaked all over the inside of the plastic bag, right? Okay, so here comes the blue. Now it becomes very neutralized. And there's another one of these little doohickey things. Okay.
Marilyn, what blue are you using?
Pardon?
What blue are you using?
Cerulean and cobalt. Actually, I can keep that there because it's going to be green. And the yellow there. And of course it fades as it dries, as we know watercolor does. I've still not gotten used to that. I always say, this time I'm going to do the painting, and the paint's going to go on strong enough that I don't have to do another glaze. It's going to be right the first time, and I never do it. I think we just get timid, you know? Okay, so I'm going to want the sky to be noticeable on the surface of the water as part of the reflection, so I'm going to bring some more blue in over here. And you'll notice that I'm starting to leave space. And I need to get back to the yellow. little bit more, I think I'll just add a little more spray. And whatever I do on one side, I try to do on the other side, except for this blue. I'm not going to be keeping this blue going. It's just in that one area. But what I will do is I'm going to start mixing a little bit over here. Now this is the red and the yellow together, and it's almost getting to a bit of a brown, which is fine too. And I'll do it down here, here. So now you can see where the masking fluid was used. It's much more apparent. And I forgot to do this area right here. Keeping the logs. On the white side. So what I do is I just continue to build and build and build. I let this dry completely before I do the next glaze. But since we're not going to wait until tomorrow to finish this, we're going to put this aside. And we've got this one. So, what I've done, okay, that's in view now. I have completed, not completed, but I've done quite a bit towards the completion of the painting. You can see masking fluid. I have removed some of it. I've used some down here. And what I'd like to talk to you about now before I start painting here is first I do the pencil sketch of the pattern of the pebbles and rocks. There is a pattern that I'm trying to stay with. I would like the viewer's eye to go from here, wrap around, and come back through the logs and up to the people in the forest. So I'm using value to create that flow. Hopefully it'll work. The ripples in the water, the whirlpool that you see over here. Well, here, let me do this. You see the ripples and the whirlpool. All that contributes to bringing your eye around. There's very subtle over here as well that brings your eye in. I might exaggerate it more. Okay, so.
So did you draw it, you said you sketched that, did you do that before you painted anything, or is that after the first layer dried?
After the first and second glaze.
Okay.
First, this is really just the first glaze in this area. The second glaze back there perhaps, but in this area, this is just the first glaze. And I've started painting the rocks, and the way I do it, and I'm going to try a new brush because they asked me to. This is silver. Okay, let's see
Bella
what happens.
Aqua,
Pardon?
the Bella Aqua, it's their new.
They're new, yeah,
New ones.
yeah. So I'm going to try it.
It's not too much time.
Each pebble or rock gets painted individually, which sounds a little bit overwhelming, but it does move along quickly. I keep in mind the color of the rocks. I don't want them all to be the same color. I'd like to mix it on the paper rather than on the palette. So I'm going to use some burnt sienna. And And I'm going to paint the rock here.
That's just straight burnt sienna?
This is just straight burnt sienna. And what you'll notice that I'm doing is I am leaving the negative space around each pebble or rock clear. I'm not painting it. I'm going to take a little bit of cobalt blue. And I'm just going to mix it right in there. On the shadow side of the pebble, or the rock. I'm just going to call them rocks, whatever they are. And you will also notice that what happens on land happens under the water. So if you've got rock and the sun is hitting it on the left side, the right side is going to be in shadow, and the underneath is going to be in shadow. Same thing happens underwater. It follows the same pattern. So if here you see the light is coming probably from about 11 or 12 o'clock. It's pretty high in the sky. And then I'll talk about that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, I'm going to add some Naples yellow. Not Naples yellow, I'm sorry. Yellow ochre to the blue. So this one will be a little more green. And we just keep moving along like this. Variation is very important. The other thing I'm keeping in mind is the patterning of negative and positive spaces. So the pebbles that you see painted is the positive space. The negative space is where you don't see it painted. And I would like it to follow a pattern for perspective purposes, to bring the viewer's eye through the painting again. So there's a lot of elements to perspective in painting water. And I'd like these to be a little bit more green. So I'm starting with this combination of alizarin and cobalt. And the yellow ochre. Just a nice green color here. I think I'll add a little bit of the aureole and lighten it up to make it a better green.
Could you zoom in a little bit on this? We can see.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Can you zoom in a little bit so we can see the rocks better?
So you can see the rocks.
What they're painting.
Don't
Like-
have to do that.
Yeah,
One
you
of
can
the
see the
buttons.
little thing on the side.
There's a little thing.
Oh, is there a zoom
Up
button?
there on the side.
I
Right there,
can't
yeah,
reach it.
there somewhere.
Okay. Well, tell me what happens when I do this.
Other way, the other way.
How about this one?
Oh,
More or less.
look what you did. It's wonderful. That's too much.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. If you need more, just say it. We'll work together on this.
He's hired. All right. And do you see how the rocks are larger in the front and smaller in the back? And they really don't look like rocks, but your mind sees them as rocks, I hope. And then there's areas that are more diffused. Okay, let's add some more color to that. I'm going to use some burnt sienna. So I guess you get the idea of how I go about doing this. I'm going to use some purple underneath. And then I'm going to go into the little bit of the brown. So let's use a little bit of the raw umber and burnt umber. Back in here. So yeah, I guess it is a bit tedious. But how long has it been? 5 minutes? Oh no, I gotta move. All right, I'm gonna do this area right here, this shadow. Now, I did lie a little bit. If the light is coming from above, this shadow from the dock is wrong, because it's coming more from the 9-10 o'clock. But it's artistic license, and artists lie to tell the truth. And that's a quote that I remember, but I didn't make it up. But I use it a lot. Okay, let me get to a larger brush here. And this also is one of the silver. This is the silver black velvet, and I've got one that's very large at home that I love as well. What I'd like to do here is, oh yeah, zoom back out. There you go. Thank you.
That's
Good. That's good. I'm going to be using a combination of ultramarine blue and burnt umber. And it's a very simple way to get a good shadow effect. And the shadows really are the last thing that you use when you're painting. Shadows go in last. But I'm doing it now so I can get to there and I can remove some paint and show you how I do that.
You guys want to see the palette more?
And I'm keeping it warmer in the front. It's cooler in the back. It's warmer in the front. And whereas this line, this edge against the dock itself is sharp, the edge that is against the water is going to be softer and jagged. And I need to add more color. I'm going to add a little bit more alizarin. And a little bit more cobalt. Just to mix it up. Oh, that didn't work. Okay. Just a little bit more to neutralize it. That. And then we just soften it against the edge here. And then there will be more rocks and stuff over here. But not noticeable. I'm putting down this color so that I can remove the paint and show you how the whirlpool is done by removing the paint. And you need to use paint that is non-staining. And I'm going to have to come back to it because it's much too wet to do that. This can be removed. It's masking. Now, when I paint, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I do have an area that I would like to remain light whirlpool. So I am actually going to, if I can, it's still wet, so I can't do that, but I can do it here. So I'm making use of the masking fluid and emphasizing the directional quality of the whirlpool and the ripples. Let's see if I can do this. The negative space is so important when you're creating this. You really have to think negative space rather than positive space. Unless you're doing an oil painting, and then you can do the white right over everything. But the challenge of watercolor is to do it, well, that's the challenge for me. I'm very insistent about doing it as authentically as I can. Now, the back is a calm lake of sorts. All right, enough. While that dries, I'm going to make it darker. And then while that dries, I'm going to go back here and work. And give me 3 minutes to do this. Foliage that is closer to the shore will be the first reflected in the water. So this yellow foliage right here is going to be, and I'll use the aureolin. And a little bit of ochre. As the foliage, the taller foliage, like these tall pine trees, the higher you go, the more forward the reflection is in the water. So back here, you're going to see and I'm going to pull this down, then you'll see where the grass is there. And to make that more green, because the foliage is reflecting very green, I'm I'm going to add some more blue. I'm going to use the cerulean blue. And the idea is to do horizontal strokes and vertical strokes simultaneously, separately. When it's wet, when it's dry, you just have to kind of play around with it. So, for instance, I'll go like this. Without that blue there. Thank you very much. And then go across. Horizontal is always horizontal. And vertical is always vertical. It never varies. And down here, when we have the water down here that is going over the rocks. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. I'd like to build the glazes in the painting kind of like the way nature made it. The bottom of the lake came first, then the rocks, then the water on the top. So I kind of think in that regard. I don't know whether it helps, but that's the way I think it. Now, over these rocks, you can just go like this, with whatever color you want. And you can see a glow starting to happen. And I do want to keep that blue there. And now you can remove paint. Let me see if that's ready to remove. Might still be too wet, but I'm going to try. Clear water and yeah.
So when you do this, you don't want it completely dry?
It has to be just the right temperature, which is, this is too early. And it's not dark enough. Because when it's really dark and you remove the paint, it's so noticeable.
But if you let it dry too much,
That depends on the paint. If it's a
Okay.
very staining paint, you won't be able to remove it. If it's not a very staining paint, you will be able to remove it.
Marilyn, repeat the question.
Yes? Question?
No, repeat her question. I'll let some people in the back.
Thank you. The question was, how do you know the right temperature in order to remove the paint easily? And the answer was, I don't. This is too wet. It's not working properly the way I want it to. And it's not dark enough. If it's much darker, then you can, you know what? I'm going to try it right up here. Why not? Now, I don't remember what paint I used here.
Can you
But I'm-
pull it down,
Pull
please?
your
Whoops.
picture down a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So, there you go, look. You can remove the paint against the dark. And that works very well in water. Very well in water. Okay, so I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover regarding painting under the surface of the water. And what I'd like to get to before our time is up is painting a froth. And the sand. Excuse me. I'm going to take a drink of water. If I had it.
What do you want? New water?
Yeah, where's my water bottle?
Drinking water.
Drinking water?
I can get some.
The spray?
No, it's right over here in my bag.
Drinking water.
Not that one. Nope, not that one. Never mind. We'll just get on with it. No, it's not vodka, it's just water. The vodka is after the dinner. Okay. My husband and I are walking on the beach in Boca Raton, and we came across these two little girls frolicking in the waves. And just, talk about emotional quality, I gotta take a picture of these little girls. I didn't even ask permission. From a distance, I took their picture.
It
Lights
was in a
shining.
public place, there's no expectation.
But of course, it reminded me very much of my two little girls who are now too old to mention. And, well, I was getting it away from the light, yeah. Oh, usually I paint on an angle, by the way. It's unusual for me to paint flat. I'm sorry. In the interest of time, I'm going to go right for, how I do the triad. The only difference with this triad is I use a lot more Naples yellow with yellow ochre, and not as much of the cad and aureole. So the triad, I have done the triad, all right? I'll pretend, and I'll leave this picture right here. And we'll go to the next stage. Okay, so I painted, and there's a G clay print of the completed painting up there.
For the video audience, is that upside down?
That's upside down.
Good.
Okay. There we go. But because of the plastic, it's not working. So we're going to just leave it up on the easel. I've done the triad, the first glaze. I've done a second glaze. And I have protected the girls. Usually I paint everything together. The glaze goes completely over the girls. But I do have the masking fluid protecting the hats, protecting the white areas that I felt needed to be protected to stay white. And you can move this one out of the way.
Is that masking tape or fluid on the
Masking fluid. Masking fluid. I use Winsor Newton. I've used it for years. I still use it. I know there's a lot of other products out there, but I prefer it. I just think it's the best. Okay, so now I'm going to get to some other brushes. These are the Vladislav Yelesiev. I don't know whether you know him, but he's an exquisite artist. And I did do workshops with him during COVID, Zooming, and I bought his brushes. They're wonderful. So it's a little plug for him too. I've used masking fluid on the crest of some of these waves, some of which has been removed. Each wave, it's not white. Only the crest of it is white. Like here, I'll remove this masking fluid here and then paint underneath.
What are you putting the mascoid on with?
I use very cheap old brushes. Cheap Joe's has some that I've been using for a long time. They get hard and they stay hard, and that's good because it gives me a very nice sharp line if I want it. I use soap first, soap in a little bottle. Pardon?
The brush.
And the brush first, and then I dip it into the mask. And now these girls are covered with frisket film.
That's what we were wondering.
Yeah, and it looks like aluminum foil back here.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking, I see. No, it's, now you see it better,
Yeah.
because you can't see it. It's a frisket film. It comes in a roll. And then you put it, you peel off the backing and you just place it where you want it. But I have an idea. Does that help? If I,
Aesthetically,
Let me have the roll of toilet paper. There we go. How's that?
Yes.
Really? No, it's still doing it.
Better.
Okay, whatever. Let me just paint.
Marilyn, do you use an X-Acto knife?
Do I use an X-Acto knife? Yes, I do. I do. One of those curly X-Acto knives, so it goes around the curly edge as well, not a straight one. And I also use an architectural rule. From my days as working in architecture, I learned how to use the rule, and you can take paint or ink or whatever you want, put it on a brush, and just slide it onto the side of the rule, and then you turn the little screw, and you can make it as wide or as narrow as you want. And you can use it for masking fluid, anything. Works great. Okay. So I'm using some cobalt teal and burnt sienna and cobalt teal, which makes a lovely gray. Add a little bit of cobalt blue to it. Okay, here we have kind of like a greeny gray. I'm going to add some more blue. The sun is coming from this direction. Okay, so that's another point. Horizon line. The horizon line on the ocean is always perfectly flat. Never, ever changes. Those waves in the back towards the horizon line, they are perfectly flat. As the waves move forward, it's affected by tides, it's affected by variations under the surface of the water, and then it starts taking an angle. Now, I've exaggerated the angle here. You can see from the photograph, it's pretty horizontal. But the reason I exaggerated the angle of these waves is because there's this wonderful frothy thing down here. And I'm going to keep it soft on the sand side and sharp on the froth side. And I'll exaggerate that more. And I like the idea of the juxtaposition of the angle here to the angle of the waves going there. I don't want it to exaggerate it, so I guess that's artistic license again. I lied again. That's okay. I'm going to work with the under the waves. There are no sharp lines.
Sharp lines?
There are no sharp
Sharp lines.
edges, sharp edges.
Not sharp edges.
Sharp.
So
No.
have you removed the masking there, or is it still in place?
Masking film.
No, where you're painting the way.
Where I'm painting right here, I removed the masking fluid and then I painted over it by accident, so that didn't work as well as I had hoped.
Would you normally leave the masking on?
Well, I'm trying to, but see, we can remove paint too, you see? And then each wave has its own variation of tone. I'm going to try using a little bit of the indigo with some rose, permanent rose, and a little bit of the teal. And that makes a nice dark gray. and that would be, the darkest would be right close to the edge. And I'm going to try that someplace else because that did not work properly. Soften the edge here. Yeah. Feels a little bit more like it, yes? And then it's not, it can be semi-sharp in certain areas, but then you want to vary it. You want to just bring it down so that you get reflective light, looks like reflective light. Where you have, oh, by the way, the direction of the waves follows perspective, the lines of perspective. So it would go to the horizon line to the perspective points, one direction or the other, and you maintain that. Otherwise it won't look comfortable. I did spray with a toothbrush some masking fluid, so I'm going to try to put some more paint down here. And we're going to go back into the Naples yellow. And maybe it'll dry enough that I can remove that masking and you can see how it works. And as it gets closer to the shore, the waves start acting like this. What happens on one side of the figure happens on the other side of the figure. You follow it through. Now I can go right over her hand because it's protected. No, it isn't. So much for that. And as it gets closer to the girls, I'm going to be using more of the teal and blue and permanent rose. Break that up a little bit. Over here, we've got this big frothy wave here. This is what I'm going to be doing right here. And then I'm going to go immediately into the sand so I can show you how I do that. And the reflections, which are very important, very important. I don't want to stop before I can get to do that.
So are you going behind the waves?
I am. I'm going behind the wave because the wave is coming up. The foam and the light is still catching it back here. Very, very bright. So I'm not happy with that. Tame that down a bit. While it's wet, you can do anything you want. And what's nice about painting water is that it changes all the time anyway, so you can really play with it as you like, and it's going to be right, because people don't know what they're looking at water moving. It doesn't make any difference.
What's the difference between that bottle and the white bottle that you used earlier?
Okay, so this is a plain spray bottle, and both of them are falling over. And this one is called an aqua mist. Not only is it wonderful for keeping a very smooth spray of water on your paper, just like this. It's wonderful for your hair. When it's very dry and you need to blow it, you just...
You're gonna get one.
What, some hair? Yeah. I'm getting one of those. So it's basically just the texture of the spray. One was a big one was a really fine.
Finer mist.
It's a finer mist, and you can get it as an all-over misty thing. That was a very good question. Thank you, Captain. I really liked, what's my time? Ooh, are you all okay?
Should she keep going?
Keep going? I can breathe? Okay. All right, so what we have here is, I'm going to do the sandy area here. I'll be placing paint, I'll be removing paint. And I will also be doing very dark. There's a little bit of the indigo, a little bit of the teal. Oh, that's not good. Add some alizarin. Okay, that's getting better. And a little bit of ultramarine. And I want to use it right here, right along this edge, where the froth hits the beach.
And is the soft side toward the
Sand.
sand? Okay.
And I'll probably go over this a couple of times. Because it might not be the right intensity. It has to be just the right volume of, but in a few minutes I'm going to be able to erase that masking. I just want to do the sand first. So, I'm using some sepia. No, it isn't. It's raw umber. And I'm going to be using Naples with it. Naples yellow. And I'm going to be going in a downward stroke like this. And I'll use the same thing on the other side of the little girl. Now her hand is protected, so I'm not worried about it. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to go back and add some more blue, green blue, teal. Boy, that teal is strong. I just bought this new teal by Core. I just bought it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, the colors are much more powerful than what I'm used to. Ooh. Okay. And I'm going to go across in the other direction. think I'd like to have a little bit more cerulean in there. And of course, the same thing on the other side. And then, after a few minutes, let it dry. Dry, be patient. I'll go do something else.
Marilyn,
Yes.
I have a question about the frisket and the mascoid. Do you burnish the frisket on, or do you use the mascoid around the edge so you don't have to be?
I've done
Repeat
both.
the question.
Repeat the question, thank you. The question was regarding how I use the frisket film, whether I use a masking fluid with it or I just burnish it. I don't burnish, no. I trace the subject that needs to be protected. I trace it onto the frisket film, the paper of it, and then I cut it on the frisket film, not on the paper. I cut it on the frisket film and carefully take it up and place it on the subject. Very careful. And then I do it 2 and 3 times because it wasn't done right the first time.
So you don't protect the edge then with the mascoid around it?
I do in certain areas. I do in certain areas, yes, absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to actually just go like this. I'm going to do a downstroke. So there are 3 layers here. You've got, can you see? Is it enough? Yes, okay. Do you see how that reflective light happens when I just remove a little bit of paint?
So you're removing now, not?
Now I just removed. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to get some more dark. And I make, for the same dark, I'll repeat it, but I'll repeat it with a different color of dark. And it does not have to be solid all the way across. It can vary. As you do the line, you break it up, rather than one straight, sharp line. And if the sun is coming from this direction, so then the shadow would be on this side of the foam anyway. And you can leave that side of the foam, the right side of the foam, sunlit.
The good thing about being last in the day is you can keep going.
I can do as much as I want. This is so much fun. And you can do a downstroke that's darker as well. One lighter, one darker. All the variation helps. Any kind of variation you can do. I'd like to do the reflections on the girls. So, I'm going to use a different brush. Reflections are done before shadows. Shadows are the last thing that's done. So I do the reflection going down that you see here. Whoops. That you see here. The reflection's going down. And I'm going to use like a burnt sienna to do that. And I'm mixing it with a little bit of, thank you. Oh, he's so good. Yeah, excellent, thank you. And the reflection goes right through the protected foam. And the edges are messed up a little bit. And the reflection gets blurrier as it gets down towards the bottom. The farther away, the less the reflection. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to that.
So that reflection's on the water, on the sand.
It's on the sand.
Right.
And there's actually a highlight going down through the reflection. I'm going to make the reflection a little bit darker here in the middle. It's never dark enough because it always dries so light. And back to the burnt sienna and over here. And this
So
reflection
that gives
is
you
going-
the perspective of where the artist is, right? Because the reflection has to go right to the artist,
Yeah.
right? I mean, those reflections are coming to you looking at the girls there.
Right.
Are
Right?
they? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't see the reflection on the other side of the legs. They're coming to the artist.
The viewer.
That's very
To the
interesting.
viewer.
The
Yeah.
viewer.
And the artist just.
I think I just learned something new. Okay. Yeah, I guess it would have to be that way, huh?
And they're always rendered.
Shadows are different though.
Right.
The shadows come from the light.
Yes.
Exactly.
And at the same time, while I've got this nice little dark going here, I'll do the foam. The edge of the foam here. And along here. And then I'll soften it, of course. Perhaps pull it down. And the reflections from this gal. Hers comes much farther down. Or maybe it's just because there's more paper. Thank you for coming. And we soften those edges. And we let that dry, of course, and worry about the shadows in a few minutes. So, let's see if I can remove some of the paint here. And you can see how this is brightening up. And I can put some more darks through it as well. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. Okay. What next?
Shadows?
We have to wait a few minutes. until it dries. We have to wait a few minutes. Should I take the frisket?
Go back to the frothy way.
Do some more in the frothy wave? Yeah, okay. I'll do some more in the frothy wave.
So the waves are at a diagonal, but are you saying still, even when you're depicting sort of the reflected light in the waves, it's still going to be a vertical to the viewer? Is that what you're
I
saying?
don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I said that.
It
Did I
just
say that?
no, I don't know what you said, but I'm just asking.
I'm not sure what I said. You know, very often we just paint and we paint and we, somehow it happens. So do you want me to try something back here? To answer your question?
Sure.
Okay, repeat the question, I'll see what I can do.
So, like, even in the picture he's holding, there's this reflected light in the waves. There's reflected light from the waves, you know, but as you're looking at the waves, even though the waves are going in an angle to the viewer, you know what I mean? A diagonal line, there's like a vertical reflected light.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Now I understand.
Okay.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, okay. So
The-
it's always the
But
reflected light.
the calmer the water, the more reflected white light that you see coming down.
Okay.
And the busier the water, the less you see.
Right.
So a busy ocean, you're not going to see
No.
those downstrokes.
Right,
It
okay.
has to be a more flat area. There can be a flat area within the ocean.
Right.
You know,
okay.
perhaps if there's a sandbar or something like that.
That's a good example right there. It's fairly flat,
Right.
slow waves, and you get good reflections. Versus
Okay.
if that was frothy, you wouldn't see
Yeah.
it.
All right. So, what I'd like to do here is just perhaps a little bit of the gray that's within the froth of the wave. It's certainly not all white, and everything is diffused. By the way, if anybody is interested, these giclée prints are available. If anybody is interested in purchasing anything. At a discounted rate for Florida Watercolor Society supporters.
Where's the original?
Sold. I have this original. But and each of these waves, again, has more color to it. It's not just gray. And whatever you do, it works. It doesn't make too much difference one way or the other. All right, I'm going to try to get some more dark here too, because that's not working so well. And then you can overwork it and be miserable. Okay, shadows. I'm going to use ultramarine blue and burnt umber. More ultramarine. Maybe I'll add a little cobalt. Okay, there we go. The ultramarine blue is more transparent than the cobalt, so I find that I get better quality of shadow with transparent, because you want to be able to see through the shadow. All right, shadow. We want to do it one time. Somebody's having fun.
I figured it's a basket.
Baskets.
What is it?
Basket raffle.
Oh, here we go. So the shadow goes over. And I need it too wet here. So I have to remove some paint. That's okay too.
Everybody will come back.
And
Are ages soft or hard?
shadows, are edges soft or hard?
What is the question?
For shadows, are edges soft or hard?
They are harder, closer to the subject, softer as they move away from the subject. And in sand, anything can happen. And now what I like about this is the fact that the colors from the reflection are shining through the shadow itself.
You want to zoom in on that?
Okay. And I'm going to remove some frisket here. Are we getting close to calling it a day, or is everybody still happy sitting here? Okay, what I need is that X-Acto knife. Okay, frisket is up. And frisket is up. And
Y'all have to be out by midnight.
but where did I put my brush down? Okay, I'll use this one. My diaper, where's my diaper?
To your right.
believe
On the
it's
right,
the
right.
right.
All the way on the right. To the table.
Thank you. I would like to remove, I'd like to do a little bit more painting right here, so you can see the dark against the light hat. And the same thing on the other side, of course. It's on one side, matches the other side. Just pulls your eye through. And you can use dry brush. Remember, the sun is coming this way, so under the crest of the wave, it's darker. And I add the color on the paper rather than on the palette. And we're starting to get some variation going here. let's try to remove this. I used masking fluid for the foam. And under the feet, where there's a little bit of splash going on. And, well, that's too wet. Right here, her hand. And the side of her leg. Okay, so then what I need to do is continue building. There's a lot more to do, obviously, but I think that I've managed to show you the process that I use. Thank you, everybody.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
Come on up and take a look, please.